Congratulations, Jaylen Brown, on becoming an all-star. We'll talk about that. And Joe Mazzulla says clutch play is the reason for the Celtics struggles. We'll examine it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Being down, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's a Friday show, so thank you so much for making this your first listen every day. You can find this show wherever you get your podcast. Download it. It's free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Share your thoughts with me and the fans, your fellow fans, and have some fun there. If you're new to the show, I am John Karalis. I have been covering the Boston Celtics for a long time now. 20 years or so, doing it for Boston Sports Journal as a beat writer. So I'm there at the games. I'm talking to players. I'm talking to the coach. And I will be sharing my part of a pregame conversation with Joe Mazzulla coming up in just a little bit. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is just about here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5, and you can win. If you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Let's bring in our buddy Tom Westerholm. Tom, how are you today?
What up? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great. There's nothing in the world bothering me today. I can tell you that much. And so, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Let's just dive into this. Jaylen Brown makes his fourth all-star team, joining Jayson Tatum, who's on his sixth. Not unexpected. Jaylen gets there. It's interesting to get into the Jaylen Brown discussion, and as these all-stars pile up, like the everybody wants to talk about legacy, and Jaylen's legacy is going to be super interesting. Obviously coming off a championship, finals MVP, conference finals MVP, now multiple all-stars, 4 all-stars. I assume he's going to be an all-star for the next few years. I mean, it seems reasonable, it seems reasonable to expect that, he might have 4 more in there. Yeah. He's 27, so there's no reason to think that he's not going to be in that mix for at least another 4 or 5 years. It's interesting to think where he might go. I've done a couple of podcasts where I'm like, Jaylen could be on a Hall of Fame path here. And as these all-stars pile up, I think that he could become I think a Hall of Fame is not out of the question for him.
I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I think at this point, I would be surprised if he's not. I think you look at if you look up and down your various all-star, your various Hall of Fame selections, you definitely, I think at this point you've seen guys who have a lesser case than won a title, won a finals MVP, made the all-star team 4 times. Yeah. There's guys who don't, I don't think, reach those qualifications. And like Jaylen's got a few more all-stars in him, like you said. Yep. I mean, honestly, I think 1 or 2 more stamps him. I think he's in if he gets to like 5 or 6, 5 or 6 all-stars and an NBA finals MVP. Yeah. I think you're there. And like, I think the idea that I think Jaylen is much more likely to make 1 or 2 more all-stars than to not make them. So sure. Yeah, to me, I think he's fully on pace and, more than on pace. I think he's ahead of pace and likely to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think this gets into a broader discussion about the way that the Celtics are discussed this year to me, where it's like, people, I think, when people get frustrated with the team, it's like, okay, I hear you. I hear that this team can be frustrating sometimes, but you guys do realize that like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, those guys have been lionized, and rightfully so, for winning one title. They won one, and Jaylen and Jayson have now done that thing. They won the title, and I think, like, again, you look at Jaylen's record, Jaylen's resume, and it's quite good. I think it's going to be plenty. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I mean, that's obviously putting the cart well ahead of the horse. I mean, what we're talking about here is like, hey, good job, man, you're an all-star. Like, well deserved, you did it. But like, I think from a larger perspective, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's piled up quite a bit now. Won a championship for a legendary franchise, won a Finals MVP for a legendary franchise. I think there's a lot working in his favor from that perspective.
I'm using my Vote Celtics All-Star San Francisco gift. This was the gift from Celtics PR to get the vote. Come on, go out there and vote Celtics. And
I'm using my water bottle that my wife got for me when we moved out of Massachusetts because she knew how much I missed Duncan, and these are the Duncan colors.
That's a very Duncan mug. We're very Boston. Let's just
yeah.
So Jaylen, that'll be the thumbnail, just us sipping from our bottle. Jaylen, not only that, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but he does have the potential to also. I'm sure there's another All NBA somewhere in there, right? There's another one, maybe two. Like, there's got to be like a third team in there somewhere for him. And look, I'm saying this year's probably not the year, but also if for some reason, if he finishes strong, we're only halfway through.
Yeah.
And it's been a decent, I don't think it's up to Jaylen Brown standards.
I agree.
But also the season hasn't been up to Celtics standards, and everybody's just a little bit off right now as far as that stuff goes. So strong finish to the season. Who knows? Maybe he does sneak in there they're falling off because of injuries. Guys are not eligible. So if a couple of things happen and a couple of guys aren't eligible, look, it doesn't matter how you make it. If you make it, it's on your resume. And if he gets another one or two All NBAs, you get like 2 or 3 time All NBA, 7, 8 time All-Star champion. If they win again this year. So if you get 2-time champion, 1-time Finals MVP, even if it's just one, man, that resume starts to stack up for Jaylen Brown. You're looking at number 7 going into the rafters. You're looking at Hall of Famer. And really, really, it's not a conversation for right now, because we'll move on in just a minute to the Bulls leftovers, and later on talk about the late game execution. But the only thing standing in his way is himself. And I know the second apron is going to make for some tough decisions. I don't know I really don't know what's on his mind for his own future. Obviously he's way under contract. Like he's under contract for years and years. But that doesn't mean that I don't know what he is going to want from his career. I think he is the one, like Jayson, I think is more likely to just be happy staying in Boston. Jaylen may well be happy staying in Boston. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also can see Jaylen as the guy who's like, you know what, broaden my horizon, kind of like, I have these other things. Maybe he wants to go back home to Atlanta. Maybe there's some other things that he wants to accomplish. He's the guy that I think has that mentality of not, I want to leave Boston. It's he's always talking about like his own journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like he would be the guy to be like, my journey is taking me somewhere.
Yeah, if you're the Wizards, make him a pitch. Tell him like, "Hey, come to DC, come change the country."
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah. I mean, look, I think I'm there with you. I think that it's funny to kind of have that conversation about Jaylen and to say that about Tatum, because for how long was Tatum the flight risk? Like how long were people talking about Tatum? Like, oh man, I think he's gonna want to go to Phoenix. He wanted to be drafted there. Oh man, he might want to go to LA. Like LA's the like Kobe, all that connection, all that stuff. But it does feel like that's true. That's the dynamic here. I will say, you mentioned the number 7 going up into the rafters again. I bring this back to the Pierce KG conversation. he won a championship. He won a Finals MVP. I don't know. I don't know that anybody's going to wear 7 again in Boston. Like,
I doubt it.
I don't think so. He's played in Boston as long, he's played in Boston longer than KG did, right? At this point, like, yeah. I think I think seven's done. I think you can.
Yeah. It really, the only thing that it depends on is if there's, I think if there is a break, if there is a break.
Yeah.
It's how does that happen?
Right.
And when does it happen? Because if he sticks around for 2 more years, then that's a long time. Then he will have been here for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And however he wants to go after that, like, more power to him. Like, that's in today's world, that's an eternity. Like, no one sticks around for that long
with the team that drafted them that long. Yeah, that's
and especially with so many rumors around him. Like, man, that guy has been, look, I'm sure there's going to be a Jaylen Brown fan in the comments and be like, look at how you guys are talking about him. But I just think it's a reality. I'm not saying.
Look at how you guys are talking about him. You called him an NBA. You called him a Hall of Famer.
I know, right?
You said they'd retire his number. How dare you?
I know. People can't rectify. It's so funny as shows go on. I got to take a break, but it's funny as shows go on how many times I've been accused of being a Jaylen Brown apologist, a Jayson Tatum apologist. Hate both, hate neither. People don't know where to go with me. It's just when you tell the truth constantly, that's just how it goes. How about Kristaps Porzingis? Let's talk some truth about Kristaps Porzingis, because the more I think about it, the more this Bulls performance might be actually this. I don't want to say it so definitively, but maybe the start of something. We'll talk about it when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. Taxes was waiting. I'm waiting for my script to load. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert, so you can do your taxes, and that person can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes the undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. This is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the new Locked On Celtics newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com. Put your email in there. Click on the Locked On Celtics logo. Put your email in, and now you'll get delivered to your inbox Monday through Friday Celtics, NBA, and fantasy coverage. Is a great way to keep up with the podcast, even if you miss an episode, which I'll allow you missing one. So the newsletter will help you keep up with that, and get links to some great coverage from around the league. Tom Westerholm, Kristaps Porzingis was pretty good against Chicago. He had a fine game, 8 3-pointers, 23 smiles at the crowd, I believe. He's having fun. He's playing well. And, I laid out some stats where the Celtics were 14-3 prior to Porzingis coming back and 19-12 since he came back. And it's not just Porzingis coming back. It's a lot of things. We've talked about it a million times. There's a lot of things happening at the same time. However, boy, Porzingis coming back, that's a hell of a flashpoint for all of a sudden, like, wow, 19-12 since he came back. That his return may be at like the heart of so many of these things. Like, yeah, the Celtics went cold, but they breaking out of that while Porzingis is coming back is harder. Yeah, certain things have happened, but because Porzingis has been around, like Derek White flat out said it. Jaylen Brown flat out said it. Like I think they may have like I don't know, in their frustration might have let in like a little too much. Like, yeah, getting KP back has made things a little bit more difficult. So I think it stands to reason, Tom, that if he's playing well now, then the other stuff starts to maybe be minimized.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a healthy Porzingis makes or like a Porzingis who's fully functional and back in form, right? It like, man, that makes things incredibly difficult on opposing teams. Like, like how many times have we seen guys drive into the paint and like Porzingis is so far back there, right? That like if you drive into the paint and you kick it back to him, if that guy has closed at all on your drive and he's got to scramble back to Porzingis, one, that's a long way back. Two, that's a long way to reach up because he's shooting that. He's so, like that's a crazy weapon. I did think it was funny yesterday that he took his season high 34 points, career high 8 3-pointers in a game. Took that moment to be like, yeah, I want to shout out my youth coach. Shout out to Edwin. Oh, that was great. I loved that. Like just he didn't make me post up. I really enjoyed that. Let the kids develop how they want. But I mean, look, I think having him fully in form, fully himself. I mean, we saw it last year at the start of the year. We saw it, throughout the season. Like when he was healthy, the Celtics really did have. I mean, they had a big three, but I mean, realistically, they had more like a big five. But they certainly had a big three, where it was like they have 3 star guys. Porzingis at his best is a star guy who has taken a bit of a step back to play for a championship team. And I mean, that's what a weapon.
Incredible weapon. And we're going to get into the clutch stuff in just a second here. But if the Celtics' biggest problem is how they play in the clutch, Porzingis eliminates the clutch. You know, it's it's almost like Office Space where they're like, oh, well, we fixed the glitch. They're like, oh, did you fire that person? They're like, no, we just fixed the glitch. Like this is, oh, did you fix your late game execution? No, we just fixed the glitch. We just we got Porzingis back and there's just no more 5-point games with 2 minutes to go. They're up 13 and it's a lot easier to close those games. Although the Celtics have also biffed a couple of double-digit leads, but
for sure. But and I think that's part of the process, right? Like that is what we were talking about with like, Derek White saying like, yeah, it's been a little tricky with KP coming back. It's like, it's like lifting weights. Like you break down the muscle at first and then the muscle builds back bigger and stronger. And like that's, you're working Porzingis back in is going to take some time. You're adding, to a team full of star guys and guys who are more than competent enough to carry the team on their own. You're adding another guy who is also capable of carrying the team, and you gotta rework all that. That is tricky. Like I know everybody has everybody on the team has made so much noise about like, no, it's fine. We did this last year. This is normal. It's like, yeah, but you haven't done it this year. Like it takes time to build these things back together. And I think you are seeing, like you said at the top here, that's not like Porzingis coming back was just one of a host of issues here, right? Derek White missing threes is a major issue for this team. Drew Holiday not shooting 60% from the corners is an actual issue for this team. But like getting Porzingis back was going to take some time to adjust to. And now I think, last night is kind of, this is what happens when, he does start to adjust, when he does start to get back to that guy.
Yeah. And I'm surprised, having you sitting here looking at me every day that you haven't made more muscle and weightlifting analogies. I mean, you just can't help it by watching. Oh, this it's a natural analogy for you.
For sure.
Yeah. But to your point, it's like the Celtics were benching 300 last year, and then you took a few months off, and it's like, well, you're not just going to go bench 300 right away. Like you gotta work your way back up to that, and it's going to take and 300 is a very specific number because it's very hard to do.
Yeah,
not a lot of people can do it. When you do it, it's like, hey, congratulations. And then when you stop doing it, it's hard to get back up to there again. But
it's easier than the first time you built it. for what it's worth. Like if you've done it before, it is easier to get back to 300 than it was to get up there the first time.
Right, because you know what it takes, and
Yep.
there should be some muscle memory and
Yep.
all of that stuff that can do that. Yeah, of course, that's exactly it. And I'm joking about the fixing the glitch bit, but that is an important thing, because instead of letting games, like, you have to fix the glitch, you have to fix the problem on its own, and we'll get to that next. But the more you can avoid that with Porzingis, like, when the Celtics got Porzingis last year, we were talking about it. When the offense completely breaks down, well, okay, you still have Porzingis against a mismatch, and he can shoot over the top of somebody. And that's at least something you can go to that's better than some step back, sidestep, fadeaway, whatever. Like Porzingis, against almost anybody, he can at least shoot over the top of somebody and have a semi-decent chance of that going in. And if the other team is doing what OKC did against the Celtics, and you can go to, hey, let's calm it down, let's get to some stuff that works, then Porzingis being himself and being able to go to that is very, very helpful. So that's the thought after the Bulls. But the late game execution is a legitimate issue. I asked Joe Mazzulla that directly. Well, I'll let you hear it, and we'll react to it next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, it's Super Bowl 59. Have you heard? It's the Philadelphia Eagles, boo, and the Kansas City Chiefs, boo. Oh, my God. But look, there's a way to turn this game into something fun, because you can go to FanDuel Sportsbook and, have some fun predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, betting on the coin toss. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. So with live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. That live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field. In some ways, hopefully both teams can lose. You can't bet on that because it's impossible, but I still hope for it. App is super easy to navigate, and knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's the icing on the cake. Hey, this is important, though. Set your budget, right? I know that it's going to be very easy to get caught up if you don't care about either team and you just like trying to go and bet. You just want to set your limit so you can catch yourself, so you don't go overboard. Let's have some fun here. Bet your disposable income. You set your limits so you can bet responsibly and gamble responsibly. Download the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night. Hey, this is going to be the Friday show. It's me and Jake Madison talking about the night in the NBA. Some good games here, so we'll be talking about those. So download the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. Locked On NBA is on the same feed, more of a debate show style thing in the afternoon. So you get two podcasts there. So go check that out. Tom, before the Bulls game, I asked Joe Mazzulla about interesting stats here. Let me play the exchange before we react.
In this stretch where you guys have been playing basically 500 basketball, you're top 5 offense, defense, and net rating. The stats suggest your record should be better than it is. Mm-hmm. What do you attribute that to?
I think a few of those, if you take a look at some of what he was saying, like sometimes it could be the clutch numbers. You know what I mean? Like, to me in this league, the difference between winning exponentially more than that is close games, right? And we've lost a couple of those in different ways. And so I think that could be the separating factor between a 5-game win streak or losing 3 out of 5 is how you close out the last 2 minutes of the game. And so that to me is the biggest thing there, and where it could be a separating thing is it comes down to close games. And we see those all the time. The difference between winning and losing is very small. You got to work to fight to get those details. You could have a really good process over the course of a long game or 10 games, but I think closing out games is the difference between, sometimes 8 to 10 extra wins in a season.
What's been the problem in the clutch?
You've seen it a couple of times. We've had some turnovers. We've had some, whether it's poor execution on the offensive end, whether we've had, late game rebounding. I think it's, a few of those things kind of go into that.
So, go.
Stand out to me about that. Two things stand out to me about that I kind of enjoy. One, it was interesting to me because when you went into the break, right, you said like I asked Joe about the late game execution, and you're a hard question asker, right? Like you ask hard questions of these guys quite frequently in press conferences. But it's interesting because that's not actually the question you asked him. You just asked him like, "Hey, why are these stats weird?" And the first thing he said was, "Yeah, our late game execution kind of sucks." And then you were like, "Well, why?" And instead, because like Mazzulla loves to do that thing where he's like, "Actually, you're wrong, and here's why." And with this one, he's just gonna like, I mean, you've seen it, like he just kind of blow it sometimes, like, and it's like, yeah, dude, like, all right, so we're all correct. All right, good to know. Like sometimes you just blow it.
Sometimes, yes, yeah. It's funny because the last time he did that was with Gary Washburn. It was just like this in the middle of an exchange. He's like, "Yeah, but you guys blew it." Oh yeah, we blew it. This one was bad. When he did that, I was like, "Oh man."
Well, that was a funny one too, because like he and Gary sometimes like butt heads a little bit, like, like not in like a bad way, but like sometimes they go back and forth a little bit, and so you're almost kind of listening to him say that. Is he being sarcastic because they did blow it? Like I think he meant that one. Like,
we were having some debate in the media room after that one, and you're like, is he busting your chops a little bit there? Is he throwing it back at you? I'm like, no, I think he's just legitimately like, oh yeah.
I think he meant it. Like listening to it, it's like, yeah, oh no, yeah, that was a bad one.
So when I told you we were going to talk about this, you said you had a stat, and I also have a stat. So what's your stat before?
So my stat is courtesy of Cleaning the Glass. One of my, I cite this kind of often. I think it's a fun one. They do win differential, which shows like how many wins a team with your net rating should have, like how far above or below it you are, right?
This is a good one.
Yeah, it's a nice stat. And with the Celtics, they have the number 3 offense in the league this year, the number 7 defense in the league this year per Cleaning the Glass. Great differential, plus 9.2. That's 3. That's really good. That's a 9.2 net rating. Is like those are championship numbers. You can win a championship with those numbers. Absolutely. Their win differential is minus 3.2, which is 27th in the NBA. They have like in terms of the wins that they have had versus their net rating, they have the 4th worst number record off of that. Right.
So they should have
more wins. They should have at least 3 more wins, basically. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Which is exactly what Joe was talking about. Like the clutch, the close games. Yeah. That's where you lose, 8 to 10 games. If you're not good at it, you can lose 8 to 10 games. And the Celtics happen to be on a pace right now because of this stretch that's 8 games worse than what they were last year.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. My
also kind of fun, just real quick on that. Also kind of a fun thing to think about with that. If you give them 3 wins, like you round down, right? 3.2. If you give them 3 extra wins, at that point they are 2 games behind the Cavaliers instead of 5.5. And it's like,
right.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah,
2 games behind the Cavs with 2 more games to play.
Yeah,
everything is like, oh yeah, we got them. You win both those games, and you're right there.
Yep.
And it's just of course. My stat is much simpler. The Celtics clutch numbers, the net rating in the clutch in January. You want to take a stab? You want to take a stab at what?
No, because I'm either gonna. I feel like I'm gonna go too low, and then I'm gonna ruin your stat. So I do not want to take a stab at it.
Minus 10.7.
All right, I wasn't gonna go too low. I should have taken a stab at it.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say like minus 7, minus 8.
Yeah, no, it's minus 10.7. They're 19th, and they are the first of the minus double digits, joining teams like the Raptors, who are minus 11.5, the Sixers, who are minus 12.7, the The Wizards are minus 78.6. Oh, but hey, look, the best net ratings in the clutch, just in order of rankings: Sacramento Kings, Celtics lost; LA Lakers, Pelicans, Clippers, Grizzlies, Suns, Pistons at 7, Nuggets, Hawks, Rockets. Like, teams that have executed well in the clutch have beaten the Celtics.
Yeah.
You know, I rattle off a bunch of these teams that have beaten the Celtics in these clutch moments, and they're not teams that you look at and go, well, those are better teams than Boston.
Right.
No, they're not better teams than Boston, because Boston's overall,
some of them aren't even good teams.
Yeah. Right. Like, Boston's overall net rating for the season is plus 9.1. Right. This is NBA.com. This is not, this isn't even filtering out garbage time and all of that stuff. They're third. They're 0.7 behind the Cavaliers. Like, the Celtics have a better defensive rating than the Cavaliers. In fact, the Celtics have the 5th best defense in the league, according to their NBA.com defensive rating. They have the 3rd best offense in the league. They're top 3, top 5, and top in 3rd in net rating. That's championship level stuff, like you said before. But their clutch number is so bad. And the clutch has been comical. So when we look at late game execution, and this is probably should have been a longer podcast on this, but Joe just said it yesterday. Part of the late game execution is like, hey guys, take a breath. Take a breath and stop. Like, we just called Jaylen Brown a Hall of Famer, 25 minutes ago, and now I'm going to be like, Jaylen's like playing, whatever, like the Always Sunny, like when Frank goes greased watermelon, and like he throws the greased watermelon to the pool, like, nobody can grab it. Like, this is the Celtics are like trying to, like the ball has been greased, like no one can grab it. Like, what's going on here? They lose their minds in the clutch sometimes, and I don't know if this year it's because of the lack of focus, and they're just like, who cares? But I hope that things kind of snapping into place, the Porzingis conversation we just had, can at least settle these guys down, so they go from not even negative 10.7. Let's just get them to even. Just play even in the clutch. Just play even in the clutch.
Oh yeah, that would be complete game changer. Yeah.
Most of the time they have leads.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even asking the Celtics to come back.
Yeah.
Like, I will trade not blowing leads for, if the basketball god said, okay, John, here's your joy. You'll never blow a lead, but you can never come back. I'd be like, sign me up. Absolutely. Because the Celtics are rarely going to be in the position where they need to come back.
Yep. No, I think that sums it up nicely. And I also like that, to just really bring it full circle, at the very end, you gave the Jaylen Brown fans a reason to say that you're a hater.
That's right. Oh,
you did it. Like, just chef's kiss masterclass.
I'm going to do my Derek White.
It's in your pocket.
It's 3's in pocket. All right. Now that I've done that,
you got the P for podcasting. You got that in your pocket.
There's nothing else to do here but end the show on that note. So, Tom, thank you so much for
appreciate you, man.
Hopping on. Hey, something for the haters. Just a little something. Hate. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. It's a Friday, so enjoy your Friday. Friday night, Celtics and the Pelicans. I am not in New Orleans. This is the first time in years that I'm not in New Orleans. But this is decisions have to be made. But I will be podcasting after the Celtics play the Pelicans. So a bonus podcast there. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you podcast so you can get that podcast directly to your device. Watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.